Hi, welcome to the SOFA, the Solutions Open Forum and AMA. Ask me anything. Okay, our question. So I first learned from you, even though you've been around, from that brilliant 3-module webinar that you gave for the Globalization and Localization Association for Gala. And I reached out to you and I said, oh, this is brilliant, this is so amazing. You are so smart and I'm so jealous of your wits. It's like, I want to just grab everything, how smart you are. So yesterday, I don't know whether it was intentional or just a coincidence and you didn't realize, but the keynote talked about butterfly effect and chaos. And then during the presentation of PIC, the Process Innovation Challenge, you were the hostess, one of the hostess, and you talked about chaos theory again.
Yes, that wasn't coincidence, no.
So
and I talked even more about that later at the panel where we were discussing AI failures and what can go wrong.
I missed that.
Yes.
But it was really good, was it?
It was really fun, I would say, because we were showing examples of how AI can go wrong. But yeah, no, it wasn't coincidental, to answer your question. The keynote was truly excellent in discussing how chaos plays out in normal life, how it affects everything, our personal life, but also the macroeconomic developments that we see, politics, development of species, and so on, even our cognitive development. So I really love that because you may know my father and mother are physicists, and physics is one of the branches of science that I really like. And I've been reading about chaos a lot. James Blake's book, Chaos, which is wonderful. Whoever is that nerdy could go read it. It's popular science, so it struck a chord, really. And the reason why I brought it up at the PIC, and then it was one of the topics we actually kind of mildly discussed during the panel, was because the more I work in this industry, and I've been here already for 10 years, and the more I work with AI, the more often I think about chaos theory, and I have the feeling that this is my daily bread, handling chaos. But before that, and since I said that the answer is going to last 5 hours, can I give a mini lecture on what actually chaos is?
This is what I wanted, because I remember you've started your webinar, the first of the series. You said, my goal here is to make science available to as many people as possible. Do that with chaos
I think this
theory.
is my drive in life.
And I love
general.
it. I love it. I'm not, as I said, I'm not as smart and
don't
nerdy
say
as you
that.
are,
No, you just have different interests.
That's true. That is true, possibly. But go ahead.
So, chaos is a condition that is inherent to very complex systems that are very much interconnected. Typical example, the weather system. And what is typical for chaos is that very small changes in some point of the system, minuscule changes, can have tremendous impacts somewhere else. So when you look at a chaotic system, it has these points, and there is this notion of points of instability where a very small change can have very big impact somewhere else. And in a chaotic system, every point is a point of instability. This means you have the weather system, it's global, and it's interconnected. And, a butterfly, that's the typical example, a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere, and there, a month later, you have a hurricane in the Caribbean. How does that happen? Well, this happens because in a system which is so interconnected, where temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity are all kind of correlated, a very tiny increase, say, in temperature or a little wind gust can trigger a chain reaction that kind of accumulates, and in the end, you have some phenomenon somewhere else in the system. The beauty of chaos, though, is that it's not random. And that is a very important difference between a chaotic system and a random system. Chaos is fully deterministic. If you know the conditions, the current conditions, with an infinite precision, you will know exactly what's going to happen.
You can
you can
predict the
you can calculate.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's not random. It's deterministic. The reason why we think it's random and we will never know what the weather is going to be like in a month from now is because we do not know with infinite precision the current conditions.
I see.
We always do a rounding. And what Lorenz, who was mentioned yesterday at the keynote, Lorenz discovered is that when you calculate the weather and you kind of round up after the third decimal, like the third number after the dot,
for a week.
All those numbers that you don't know, like the 0.0000009, you know, the absence of that knowledge doesn't allow you to predict exactly what the weather is going to be next month. But
you're saying, and I'm thinking, this is life. Life is it. Life is a series of events that are unpredictable. But do you think, and I'm going crazy here, do you think that we could reach a point where the 0.00000, we will achieve that level of sophistication for the calculation of these events?
I don't think so. I don't think it's possible because in order to be able to really do that, you have to have infinite precision, and we cannot reach infinite precision. There's always, you know, we will end at some number somewhere.
How wonderful it is that, you know, the unpredictable will happen. And
yes, but here is the thing, right? And this is why I think it's relevant, you know, for our daily bread and work. And that is that you have this, so you have this really small change, like say you have a barbecue in your backyard and you increase the temperature of the surrounding by 0.0000001, you know, and suddenly this increases humidity by 0.0001, and then this creates a little cloud on top of your house, and then it kind of grows, and suddenly, you know, you have a storm in the next city because you had a barbecue.
Of the barbecue.
Okay? Right, so I very often feel in this same situation when I do prompting with large language models.
Okay.
And that's how I kind of thought this is very relevant for our industry, especially today. Because when you prompt, large language models are extraordinarily sensitive to small changes in the prompt. So you could say that they have this sensitive dependence on initial conditions, which is typical for a chaotic system. Because those who prompt, and I'm pretty sure that there are people like that who are listening to us, know that sometimes you add a comma or you remove a comma and you completely change the behavior of the LLM, and the output is different. And it's really tiny, tiny changes that can change totally the response of a large language model. Just like a butterfly flapping its wing somewhere can trigger a hurricane in the end somewhere else. I have an engineer on the team who is very, very precise, and he always sends the prompts to me for like a review, you know, have a look. And being a linguist, primarily, I would, you know, delete an extra space or just add a comma just so that it's more beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds better.
And he goes like, don't touch it. It's been tested. You cannot add a comma there. It will change the output. And it's true. The other day we were solving a hallucination, a very repeatable, like robust hallucination with a large language model which could not handle properly segment IDs, which are numerical values, and the segments, actually translated segments. So it was hallucinating in a specific way that would add some segment IDs and kind of shift the IDs. So what we found out is that as we have our prompt components, you know, say you have component A, B, C, D, and every part of the prompt tells the LLM to do something. At some point, just by changing the order of two components, we got rid of the hallucination completely.
Wow.
And it's just like, it's same content, same formulation, exactly the same prompt, but just two paragraphs were swapped.
Oh my God.
And the LLM stopped hallucinating entirely.
Wow.
So that is chaos-free.
But this is trial and error. How would you predict? Is there a way of
You cannot predict that. Yes.
So in addition to the unpredictability of LLMs, even if you prompt the same thing, you might get different results.
Yes. Well, here I'm simplifying a little bit because if we are to go truly nerdy, LLMs are not a chaotic system. LLMs are a stochastic system. Chaotic system is one where you can exactly predict what's going to happen if you have infinite precision of your current measures.
Okay.
An LLM is a stochastic system. It's probabilistic. It works based on probabilities, like the bell curve of probability distribution. So by definition, this is not deterministic. You have randomness there, which in ordinary daily language, we call it noise very often, right? So, but it behaves a little bit like a chaotic system because of this dependency on exactly what you have in the prompt and tiny, tiny change, like changing the spelling of color from, O-U-R at the end to just O-R, like British to American, is going to change the behavior. But they are more probabilistic machines.
But would you say that chaotic would be a level up from probabilistic?
It's a level down.
A level down?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's better to work with chaotic systems than probabilistic systems.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, level up in terms of predictability.
We need to define the scale. Yeah, okay. Yes, I thought you was the reverse.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
But is this something that we should aim for, getting more chaotic than...
Yes.
Okay.
As ridiculous as it sounds, paradoxical, we should aim for getting LLMs to be more chaotic rather than more stochastic.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, and we can do it. Actually, there are ways. Because if you've attended the webinars on prompt design, you can play with parameters. Mm-hmm. So you can set your temperature to 0.
Yes,
you
exactly.
can play with your top P and top K parameters, and that kind of narrows the space of it narrows the probability space, so to speak, and kind of gets the LLM to be very greedy. Like this is called greedy search, like you're going for just one possible right answer, and you make them more deterministic. So if you play with your parameters and you want them, and you set them really to very conservative values, then the LLM is going to get really deterministic. And then it becomes a chaotic system and stops being a kind of a probability-based, stochastic, random system.
The outcomes.
Yeah, but you lose the creativity then. That's the problem.
I see.
It will always go for the same thing.
Yeah,
and
I remember you mentioned that.
Yes. So, and the beauty of LLMs is that they are creative.
Yeah. This is wonderful. Oh my God, you're so good. I love this. Yes. Anything else? So you mentioned that how we could apply to our industry, the chaotic system.
Well, chaotic system is like the experience I get working with an LLM, but I think it also applies to our industry in a way, to the world, as you said. And that is because two things make me think of our industry when I think also about chaos theory. Number one is the interconnectivity, which comes as a result of globalization, right? Mm-hmm. So, and our industry is by definition very, very global.
It is.
So a small change somewhere can trigger a change somewhere else simply because we are so interconnected. Interconnected purely, when it comes to supply chain, how many translators into Inuktitut do you have, right? I mean, any LSP that has that language as part of their service portfolio will work with the same translators, right? One gets sick everywhere or goes hunting seals. Everywhere, deliveries in Inuktitut fail,
That's
right?
True.
So, so what is the interconnectivity, right? The other thing is another beauty of chaotic system, and that comes from the fact that they are not random but deterministic. They follow patterns. Those patterns are called attractors, and you may have seen Lorenz Attractor because it's on any book about chaos, and it's kind of a prototypical, when you want to talk about physics, you either put Einstein's formula or the Lorenz Attractor, on the textbook or whatever. It has butterfly shapes, and it describes a phenomenon where you have a chaotic system, but the values, say the temperature, humidity, and so on, they follow same kind of a close value. So if you plot them, the lines, are gonna follow a pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like that, but two lines will never overlap. So they will always have slight difference from previous values.
Okay.
And I have the feeling that our industry also goes into this loop of things happening all the time in a slightly similar way, but not exact way. And we're oscillating, they're like following this attractor trajectory. And the reason I have this feeling is not that I have been so long in the industry, but I had the feeling that we get new technologies and it always kind of triggers the same reaction, and then we bounce back to normal, and then we get a new technology, we get the same reaction. So we had the neural empty in 2015. Everybody said, okay, language is a solved problem, translators not needed anymore. So we went one way, and then, we rebounded, and then translators were
And even
still
before,
needed.
I was there, when Google Translate was made public, it was statistical still. And it was like mind-blowing. Everybody got scared. Oh my God, now Google, everybody can translate. We don't need translators anymore. Now our capacity to adapt and resist, and our resilience, I think, as industry players, as I said, as we're talking Google Translate came up, and then neuro machine translation, and now AI, LLMs, AI. We've been doing AI forever, and this is something we need to discuss as well. But I think I agree with you. I think we have this capacity to adapt, but now you're explaining it in
chaotic terms. Yeah, we have our own Lorenz Attractor, yes. The fascinating thing is that it's never exactly the same, just like a Lorenz Attractor. You never get exactly the same value, so it's always slightly different trigger, then, we have slightly different conversations, but it's always like oscillating between, we don't need the humans anymore, language is a solved problem, and then, oh no, we need the humans, but in a different way, and it's always in a slightly different way. So before, there would be empty post editors. Now they need to be prompt designers.
That is true.
At the next revolution, next technology that comes in, maybe there will be a new role for the humans, but there will always be a role for the humans, that's clear.
Couldn't agree with you more. Oh my God, this is so good. Thank you so much, Marina.
Thank you for asking me that question. It's the first time I get a question about physics at a localization conference, so I really appreciate it.
Yes, and my honor, really. I'm very, very proud to have you here, and I'm very happy to have you as a guest.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marina.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye.